Have you ever had one of those moments where you're holding your tiny newborn in your arms, and suddenly a wave of worry rushes through you? You wonder if you're doing everything right. Maybe you're thinking, am I feeding them enough? Did I burp them long enough? Is this blanket too thick? What if I'm making a mistake without even knowing it? If you've ever had these thoughts, you are not alone. Every single parent I've spoken with, whether they're holding their first child or their fourth, has had moments of doubt. So let's begin. The very first mistake I want to talk about is something that often starts in those quiet nighttime hours. Picture this. You're exhausted, it's 2 a.m., you've just finished feeding, and you gently lay your baby down to sleep. Where do you put them? And how? One of the most dangerous mistakes is putting babies to sleep on their stomach. I know for some parents it feels natural. Maybe your own mom told you that you used to sleep on your tummy, and you were fine. But research has shown us something different. Placing a baby on their stomach to sleep increases the risk of sudden infant death syndrome, or SIDS. Babies under 1 year old should always be placed on their backs, on a firm mattress, without soft pillows, blankets, or stuffed toys around them. I know it doesn't always look cozy in the traditional sense, but that simple habit, back to sleep every sleep, can save lives. Now let's imagine a different scenario. It's the middle of the day, and your baby is crying nonstop. You've tried feeding, you've checked the diaper, you've rocked them, but nothing seems to work. The frustration builds up, and for a fleeting second, you feel the urge to shake them just to make it stop. This brings us to mistake number 2, shaking a baby out of frustration. I know that might sound unthinkable, but when exhaustion meets stress, even the calmest person can reach a breaking point. Shaking a baby, even for a few seconds, can cause permanent brain damage or even death. It's something called shaken baby syndrome, and it's heartbreaking but preventable. If you ever feel that surge of frustration, the safest thing you can do is gently place your baby in their crib, walk away, and give yourself a moment to breathe. Call a partner, a friend, anyone who can step in. Remember, it's not a failure to ask for help. It's a sign of strength. Mistake number 3 often happens outside the house. Ignoring car seat safety. I get it, car seats can be confusing. There are straps, buckles, weight limits, and endless instructions. Sometimes parents just pop the baby in for a short trip and think, it's only a few minutes, they'll be fine. But the truth is, accidents happen close to home more often than on long trips. Using the wrong type of car seat, not securing it properly, or letting the baby ride without one is incredibly dangerous. Following the guidelines, rear-facing until at least age 2, making sure the harness is snug, and installing the seat correctly can mean the difference between life and death in an accident. These first 3 mistakes might sound scary, but I don't share them to frighten you. I share them because knowledge is power, and the more you know, the more confident you'll feel. And as we continue, we'll talk about more everyday situations, like feeding, bathing, and even those small habits that can sneak up on us, that might seem innocent but carry hidden risks. So now that we've explored sleep, stress, and safety on the road, let's move into another area of parenting that every parent encounters daily: feeding your baby. Feeding is such a central part of parenting, isn't it? It's not just about giving nutrition, it's about bonding, soothing, and nurturing. But this is also an area where new parents often stumble into dangerous mistakes without realizing it. Let's talk about one that surprises a lot of people. Giving honey to babies under 1 year old. Honey seems so natural, so harmless. Some parents even think of it as a remedy for colds or a sweetener instead of sugar. But for babies, honey can contain spores that cause infant botulism, a rare but potentially fatal illness. That's why pediatricians are clear. No honey for babies under 12 months. After that, it's safe, but before then, it's a hard no. Another feeding-related mistake is introducing solid foods too early. I know how tempting it can be when you see your baby eyeing your food at the table or trying to grab at your spoon. Some grandparents might say, "Oh, we gave rice cereal at 3 months and you turned out fine." But a baby's digestive system simply isn't ready for solids until around 6 months. Starting too early can lead to choking hazards, digestive problems, and even long-term health issues. Instead, wait until your baby shows signs of readiness. Sitting with little support, good head control, and showing interest in food in a sustained way. Now let's step away from feeding for a moment and talk about sleep again, but this time where your baby sleeps. Many parents love the idea of co-sleeping, having the baby snuggled right in bed with them. I completely understand the emotional pull of that. Feels safe, warm, connected. But mistake number 6 is letting babies sleep in an adult bed without proper safety measures. The risks of suffocation from pillows, blankets, or even a parent accidentally rolling over are real. If you want to keep your baby close, a safer option is a bedside bassinet or co-sleeper that attaches to your bed. That way you're right there, but your baby still has their own protected space. Bath time is another place where things can go wrong. Mistake number 7 is leaving a baby unattended in the bath. Even for a moment, babies can drown in just a few inches of water, and it can happen silently and quickly. You might think, I'll just grab a towel, or I'll answer the phone. But those seconds are enough for a tragedy. The rule is simple. If your baby is in the bath, your eyes and hands should be too. Everything else can wait. Finally, in this section, I want to touch on something that seems small but matters so much. Not washing hands before handling a newborn. It's easy to forget when you're juggling diapers, bottles, and endless tasks. But newborns have fragile immune systems. A simple cold for us can become a serious illness for them. Asking visitors and even family members to wash their hands before holding the baby isn't rude. It's protective. As you can see, these mistakes often come from love, convenience, or just not knowing the risks. That's why having this conversation is so important. And speaking of risks we might overlook, let's head into our final section, where we'll cover the last few mistakes and wrap everything up with encouragement for your parenting journey. We've already covered sleep, feeding, safety, and everyday care. But there are still a few more mistakes that parents often make without realizing it. And once we talk about them, you'll see just how small changes can make a big difference. Mistake number 9 is using pillows, thick blankets, or stuffed toys in the crib. They look so cute in pictures, don't they? A crib with a fluffy blanket and a teddy bear seems cozy and inviting. But for babies under 1 year old, those soft items pose a risk of suffocation. The safest sleep environment looks a little plain. Just the baby, a fitted sheet, and a firm mattress. Remember, safety over style. Your baby won't mind if the crib doesn't look Instagram ready. The last mistake I want to share is one that's harder to spot. Ignoring signs of serious illness, like a high fever in a newborn. Babies can't tell us how they feel, so we rely on cues like fussiness, lack of appetite, or changes in temperature. A fever in a newborn, especially in the first 2 months, can be a sign of something that needs immediate medical attention. Never hesitate to call your doctor if something feels off. Trust your instincts. They are one of your greatest tools as a parent.